This webinar is being recorded.
All right, welcome. It's 8:03. Sorry, we're a couple minutes starting late, but I am Joseph Tiba. I'm really pleased to have a great panel and discussion today about academic integrity and how we secure assessments, validate knowledge and assignments on a budget and also in Moodle, which is my favorite open source learning management system. And as a good segue, I want to introduce Max Espley, who is the channel manager for APAC and Canada from Moodle HQ. To start us off, will be about 10 minutes or less, and we'll get right into the panel presentation.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Joseph. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Very quickly, as you've correctly introduced me, I'm Max Espley. I'm the Moodle APAC and Canada channel manager. I'm based in Singapore, and basically my remit is to look after all of Moodle's partners across that region, which is 19 in total across APAC and Canada. I'm part of a bigger team of 12, and we also look after we also have channel managers who look after the more technical side of things, which I'll go on to imminently because I think that's a specific reference today. Next slide, please. Yep. So this is really just a summary. 19 partners I look after in total. You can see we have partners in 69 countries in total, 113 partnerships across the globe. A real mixture of partners. Just to really briefly tell you, a real kind of mixture of types of people are Moodle partners. Some like BrainStation 23, who I'm delighted to hear today, obviously, actually employ probably 3 times as many people as Moodle do. Some are husband and wife teams. Some have a real expertise in content. Some have an expertise in translation. But, you know, above and beyond, they're all really, really enthusiastic about education and open source. Next slide, please. And yeah, and just to give you, I don't want this to be sort of too salesy, but I just want to give you an idea of why I think it's important to use a Moodle partner if you're interested in Moodle and going down that route. I mean, a big reason is the community access factor. We have these partners who are a huge part of the Moodle ecosystem, very influential when it comes to product, big part of the community, have first access to any sort of new iterations of Moodle, very influential. And above all, when you use a partner, if you use a partner for any Moodle project, a proportion of revenue goes straight back into the Moodle project. So there is sort of a really nice cycle, a really nice sort of cyclical effect there, if you like. It's basically the best way you can be close to the action is by working with a Moodle partner. Of course, all Moodle partners are also certified. They've gone through rigorous technical and customer service standards. So this is another good reason, you know, they've got that stamp of approval, of which BrainStation 23, of course, is obviously one. And, you know, they're really there. I think just what I really want to make clear is the real reason our partners are there is to help anybody out there get from A to B in the way they want to go, you know, to help work on bespoke solutions, to meet the unique needs of your organization or your project. Everyone's slightly different. Transformation, of course, that's a big factor as well. They're there to help people on board with hybrid learning, and of course, always there to help out with services. But that's enough on the partners for now. Next slide, please. And BrainStation 23, just to give you, this is just a really brief summary of the history of my relationship with them and with Mizanur. 5 years in the making, doing some great work in Bangladesh and Pakistan. Mixture of audiences. Probably the key thing I want to note here is that they're a very big contributor to Moodle plugins. They have contributed to 7 Moodle plugins in various areas: proctoring, QR code, plagiarism, which we'll come on to, sharing and payments. Really sort of just want to just say that sort of I'm delighted that Mizanur and in fact Joseph as well, I know, both coming to the Global Moot in Edinburgh, which is our annual shindig, really. Well, more than a shindig, it's 600 to 700 Moodlers there, in Edinburgh who from a real varied background, whether educators, partners, customers, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys there, and hope some of you listening may also come. Next slide, please. But what I really want to talk about today in this introduction is the Certified Integration Program, which, as I say, I don't work on directly, but it's a big part of my team. And we have two specialist channel managers who help out with this. And I think the thing to say is, a big part of learning and teaching for Moodle users does revolve around integration partners. We're there to support the integration of your favorite tool. I've given as an example here, it could be video delivery. It could be something like we have, say, Big Blue Button, someone like that. That's basically the purpose, to have these sort of like recommended integrations. And this ensures quality and compatibility of third-party integrations with our products. Next slide, please. And so, how do Moodle support the integration program? Well, just so you know, kind of our role in this, we're sort of obviously massive on the review process with any integration. So, whether it's the actual user experience, whether it's the interface design, the navigation flow, accessibility, anything like that, we make sure that any integration has to provide an engaging experience for end users. This is tantamount to our recommendation. We also are there to kind of instill very strong coding standards. A lot of all of our integrations are peer reviewed and go through rigorous evaluation. There's also this big checklist we have for plugin contribution as well. Another huge factor is really important, sort of with anything really, is good business practice. We want to see this with any integration. It's not about this isn't such a sort of commercial element. It's about longevity from the integration producer. That's really crucial in terms of what we're looking for and how we support these integrations. And of course, we're also there to kind of like help with any feedback to the relevant development teams, if it's code structure, user experience, making sure there's adherence to coding standards, and of course suggesting optimizations as well, and addressing any issues as they come up. So this is a big part. And finally, testing. All integrations must work seamlessly with our Moodle releases. Next slide, please. And benefits for the customer, peace of mind. You know that you're working with an integration that meets very thorough technical standards and security requirements. Saving time, of course, finding the integration that you need the most, and ensuring an enhanced learner experience, as I've already mentioned. And just a little quote at the end, which I think sums it up nicely, is pick and implement the right tool you need to extend Moodle's functionality. And yes, moving on to our, the esteemed panel here today. Obviously, we have proctoring for Moodle, which is produced by BrainStation 23. This will imminently become a certified integration, and I've just sort of included a few graphs here just to give you an idea of the popularity. You can see sort of over 2,000 sites are using this at the moment. Also very popular in the downloading stats as well, quite consistent there. And translation too, which I think is interesting. A mixture of languages there, Russian, Hungarian, what else we got there? Spanish, of course. And you can see a lot of translation works happen there. So I know this will come up, but I just want to make it clear there, this will imminently be a very worthy CIP. And next slide, please. As will Cursive, for authorship verification. So basically, for plagiarism, etc. This and again, okay. So just to explain these graphs, okay. So you can really quite clearly see that sort of there's been quite a big rise of usage in the last few months, which is extremely encouraging. And the same with the download stats as well. So again, this is a really sort of vital tool, and I'm very much looking forward to Cursive being part of the program as well.
Awesome.
And that's all from me.
Thank you very much, Max. Okay, so the proctoring and cursive, I think, will come up later because they have free versions that can run locally on any Moodle site and provide this basically within courses without sending any information externally, which of course is a concern for privacy and for compliance. So, but we'll get to those, and now I think we'll move on to the main event, which is a panel with three great guests. So first, I want to introduce Mizunur Rahman, who is a AWS ambassador and the current CTO of BrainStation 23, which supports educational institutions through hosting and custom development of tools used in the classroom. Also joining us is Roland Guiden, Director of Instructional Design and Technology at the Columbia Theological Seminary in Decatur, Georgia, who works with faculty, students, and staff to support their educational programs at CTS. And lastly, but not least, RJ Amador, who, among other things, is formerly master instructor at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and has taught dozens and dozens of courses from English composition to business law and entrepreneurship. And I'm excited to have all three talk about what we'll say is like from the micro, meso, and macro levels of assessment, and to help us work through maybe some practical tips that can be implemented directly in the classroom immediately, and how to better work with faculty and organizations to secure assessment and validate knowledge. I'm Joseph Tiba. I'm the CEO and founder of Cursive Technology. I'm really delighted to be here. We focus on typing biometrics and authorship, ensuring that the student enrolled is the person producing the validation of knowledge through writing analytics and process tracking, and we'll get to some of those things later. So to get started, I wanted to clarify, why are we chatting about this topic, and why did our attendees sign up to come from all around the world, including the UK, South America, United States, Australia, New Zealand, and many other places. I think Bangladesh, Pakistan, India as well. So why is this idea of securing assessment or validating what a student knows, why are those important? So I want to start first at the classroom level with RJ in 1 or 2 sentences.
First, thanks, Joe, for the introduction, and thanks for convening this gathering. I think it's very important. So thanks all for attending. Yeah, as far as assessment, there is no, assessment is the way that we allow a student to demonstrate mastery in a subject, in every subject. And so that is why this is important, because as we continue to evolve what the classroom experience is, face-to-face, hybrid, and online, what the most effective modalities and methods are, and then best practices thereof will be for assessment, are continuing to evolve. There are some tried and true methods that, of course, will evolve with the technology, but again, yeah, assessment is maybe the name of the game as far as education is concerned, and certainly the value proposition for education. How can we assess mastery?
Yeah. Roland, going to more of like an institutional prerogative for assessment validation, why is it important to organizations like CTS?
Well, the reason why it's important is because, again, that's the whole reason why we have these institutions in the first place, is because we're supposed to be trying to bestow knowledge onto our students. And we want to make sure that our students are actually getting that knowledge. And the reason why it's also very important is because we need to know what a student actually knows, not what a student can access. And there's a big difference.
That's a great point. Mizunur, I'm curious from both employer perspective, but also what you're seeing in the market. What signals do you get for why validating knowledge or securing assessment matters?
Thanks a lot. I think end of the day, assessments are not just grades. They are promise in a way. I mean, a promise from the institution to the employees, parents, or society. I mean, eventually, if the promise is broken, then everything is broken in a way. So I think it is extremely important that, as you rightly mentioned, the integrity, the validity, those are there to make sure these assessments are properly in place. So yeah, I think it's a promise to the between the institute and the people and the trust in a way. Yeah.
Like that, a promise of knowledge. I think RJ, starting with classrooms, what do you think has changed in the last couple years, and the biggest change that you've had to make to assessments for students?
Sure, that's a great question. But just for context, so of all those dozens of courses I've taught, I'd say 80% of them fall into two major buckets. First is business marketing and entrepreneurship from the introductory level to upper division courses at community colleges and also the university level in all modalities. And then the other bucket is in the humanities, primarily English composition, writing at both the introductory level and upper division courses as well, such as creative writing. And so I say all that to kind of provide additional context to that answer. I think with COVID, of course, we've had an acceleration of everything is, more online than ever before. I'd say that's one big trend. Along with that, there are more tools available to both students and faculty than ever before. There is a term out there that I'll throw out that's, there's more democratization in that increased access to those tools is increasing. We could argue exponentially today. And so in order to not only keep a pace with all those changes, but to continue to provide a quality classroom experience, I think is the challenge when sort of expertise is pushed down more readily and easily to a greater number of students. In my classes, as far as online offerings, which again, as I've said, are increasing everywhere, even at a place that's traditionally very face-to-face, like the Naval Academy, for example, I find that in order to provide value and that personalization at scale, it has to be through actually written assignment that is done and collaborated with other students. So the classic example of that would be like a discussion board, but a discussion board that is maybe more, I'll use the word proctor, that's not quite right, managed by the instructor / professor for quality content and prompting. And then there are sort of newer versions of that discussion board modality as well that are coming out, both through LMSs and by third-party software as well. So I would say that's just a way to keep a pace with this evolution while trying to keep it as human and personal as possible to retain the quality experience.
Nice. Okay. Roland, moving to institutions, same question. So, what's changed in the last few years of your time at CTS or beyond? And what are the biggest changes that you've had to help faculty make in the classroom to assessment?
Well, I think one of the biggest changes is just the access to the information. Used to be that people would go to institutions of higher learning because they were the gatekeepers of certain types of information. And if you wanted that particular type of information, you had to go to those particular institutions. And the institution was actually the gatekeeper. They were able to kind of decide how that information was given to the students and kind of mold the students on their journey of learning. Those gates are gone. The information is available to everybody. So our roles have gone from being gatekeepers of the information to being guides to which information is actually the right information, and then how to take that information and synthesize it and use it moving forward. So I think the biggest change basically is the fact that now anybody can get the information that they want. It's readily available to everyone, but now we have to be more mindful of showing people how to use that information, appropriately, so they can actually synthesize it and use it in a way that's intended.
Ms. Zinner, from the market perspective, I imagine that we saw the growth in proctoring as downloads as an example, but what have your users been saying about changes to their own assessment?
Yeah, I think the digital learning acceleration has been quite significant. I would say it is after pandemic. I mean, people they, have been like adopting heavily. And what interesting part we see that people are more used to with this digital platform, the way of doing things. I'm quite sure that previously this WebEx or Zoom or a different platform, it was not that common to the common people, I would say. Now it is quite common. They are ready to experience it. And we see that the technology disruption we see happening in different segment like XR, I mean AR, VR, then mixed reality. Then, of course, right now I mean AI, generative AI, and other things. So I see that most of the companies or institute, they are more into leveraging this so that it can make their life more comfortable, more better experience to their target audience, as I see. So they are more onto adopting new things, more curious, more I would say they are accommodating, adopting new things. Yeah.
Got you. Very cool. I want to switch to AI, but not as a boogeyman in terms of like the plight of all of our endeavors for trying to assess students. But I'm curious as how you all think, and maybe we'll start with Roland this time, is how might generative AI be used by students or even by your institutions and your faculty to create better assessments in this kind of new role that you find yourself in of being a guide? And then a follow-up on that one would be, what are you doing specifically at CTS that might help to facilitate that?
Yeah, definitely. The reality is AI is pretty much woven into everything. I mean, even you're joining on this WebEx, one of the first things I had to turn off was that little pop-up saying, "Hey, you want to use the Cisco AI, to help you keep track of what's going on in this particular meeting." So, AI is just prevalent. You're not going to get rid of it. The trick is, it's like any tool, is proper usage. How do you use the tool to meet your goal, to get what you want out of it? Now, I know, like, one of the things that we do at our particular institution is we don't pretty much forbid AI, at least not in general. Some instructors still like to say, "Hey, no, don't use ChatGPT or don't use Copilot to write your papers," and that's understandable. But there are tools that are available. In fact, a lot of the tools that we even offer to students have AI woven throughout them. We give our students Microsoft Office. Now it's got Copilot woven throughout it. We offer Grammarly to our students because we have a large population of our students are English as a second language. So, we wanted them to have a tool to help them, with their English grammar and getting some of that stuff correct. And we don't use, Grammarly's got the Grammarly Go. We actually don't use that, but all the other stuff as far as helping them, assisting them with their writing is, it's all AI and it's all woven in.
I'm going to throw it over to RJ now. Similar question in terms of like AI, I assume has impacted your classroom in some negative ways. We can kind of put that aside, but how might you envision your classroom changing to incorporate more, to help yourself, or to even be used for further validating assessment?
And of course, this is, I'll add my 2 cents worth about a penny, and it's an open question that education writ large, not just higher ed education, is grappling with, as are all individual instructors and professors. And so I'll say certainly it's impacted the process flow for how one assesses mastery. And I'll circle back on what I was alluding to earlier and what Roland, I think, put a clearer point on, which is what is the value proposition that a student receives or resonates with from a university or from a college. And if it's simply access to information or even content curation, which is another term we'll often use, that we are maybe expert content curators, that is very good. But I think beyond that, I'll use the word how can the instructor or faculty member be a shepherd for that learning to meet the student where he or she is, and then level them up over the course of a semester or longer, depending on how long a student is in a course writ large. So in my classrooms, I'll maybe bring up the online examples. When it comes to assessing mastery, I find that though AI can certainly be used as a tool vis-a-vis something like Grammarly, right? As far as cleanup, how can I actually claim that a student has mastered a concept if I cannot know that the student has just thrown in some generative AI in the assessment of mastery? And so again, what I have attempted to do, though it is an ongoing challenge, is create assignments that are inherently collaborative, and so therefore there's a peer element to it that can cross-check that mastery, and beyond a classic peer assessment, which I think sometimes are rather flawed. There are other ways that students can check in with each other / collaborate in groups or also as individual contributors. I brought up the discussion board example before, but there are also ways to sort of test or hit certain Bloom's taxonomy of learning benchmarks as well through those assessments. So it's really an ongoing challenge, particularly in a fully online asynchronous environment, I'll say.
Mizner, I would say is like similar questions are related to AI. How are you seeing it impact both from your the product design, but also the requests that are coming in from the multiple institutions that you're serving in terms of ways that you might leverage generative AI or offer generative AI as tools to help with assessment, either scaling or quality or validity?
Right. So being a technology service company, we are heavily disrupted in a way, I would say. I mean, it feels like, either you adopt or you might be no one, right? In the coming days. So we are heavily adopting AI, generative AI into our process. So as you have mentioned, if I look into multiple clients, we see that they are leveraging AI, for instance, for facial recognition, then a different kind of activities into their organization. Along with that, we see generative AI have been used to ensure that they are being able to come up with personalized experience to for a person. What I mean by that, for instance, you are having an interview of a person, so there might have different kind of background. So leveraging generative AI, it is possible now. We are being able to support our customer to be more specific, personalized assessment to get the best possible value or outcome related to that person. Along with that, for instance, not just only that part, what we see that different institutes are doing in a different way. Previously it was like more into, okay, we don't want to allow our people to use ChatGPT or other LLM, but now they are thinking how we can assess with the even after using ChatGPT or other LLM, so that because we cannot deny the power of this thing, but we want to ensure that we are onboarding the right people, so that ensuring that they have proper foundation knowledge, proper analytical capability, everything, not like just coming up with a dump of answers provided by LLM. So I think it's a completely new way of doing things. It's like converting from horse to motor car in a way, what I see. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, great. back to, I think we'll start with RJ this time. Is I think so. One of the refrains from kind of our AI era has been, well, faculty just need to change assessments, right? To kind of like change how things work. So I don't think my brain hasn't changed very much. So I'm curious, is like when you hear that just change your assessments, either what are those things, and how might you express to our guests and the attendees of the things that they can do in their classroom that have worked from your experience?
Sure. And again, my 2 cents worth about a penny in that. I think this is an ongoing conversation. We're having this conversation now, and it's an ongoing conversation writ large as society evolves, to Ms. Inner's point. I think I often go, the keep it simple, stupid way when it comes to assessment. And also, I'll say a lot of what we're talking about here is trust. That, is there mutual trust between a faculty member and a student as individuals, and then between a faculty member and a classroom, and then between a faculty member and the administration. And so there's a lot of trust that comes with the following suggestions. And so one thing that I found that works very well, actually, and there is a body of scholarship around this, are codes of ethics. So if a student has to sign a simple, or write their own ethical code of conduct, for example, is one way to do it. I will do the following, not do the following on any given assignment or throughout this particular course section. And then they sign it. There is a much greater efficacy when it comes to that student's work product. And maybe maybe I shouldn't be fascinated by that. My cynical brain is fascinated. My better self is not. That is, of course, that makes sense because there's an accountability there. Even and especially important for students in an online asynchronous classroom environment. And so those codes of ethics are often done in a classical, face-to-face environment, or classic/classical, but also very much can they be used online. Especially another element here that's been proven through research, simple and robust research. If they have to check in with their own code of ethics throughout the course of a semester, that often reminds the student that there is something there. And so again, it's a simple tactic, but that does support a greater strategy, i.e., what is that, to build and retain trust among all parties.
Follow up to you then is, so what you've touched on is one free tactic, right? Which is I think is to the point of the for our presentation and our panel discussion today, is ways that we can do that don't break the bank, right? So social contracts would be one example. Other examples of policies, tools, tactics, procedures that you use in your classroom that are not on a per cost student basis or something like that.
So yeah, actually, traditionally, I've often created my own assessments like this, but I'll say if this, and as Max said earlier, this not to plug what cursive is and can be, but if I did have a way that I could easily implement a writing process tool / authentication, that I can prove that someone is actually writing something in an online asynchronous environment, that would be pretty important for my workflow online, in that that trust is established from the get-go, in addition to providing social contracts and assignments to this end. I think beyond that, just real quick, I have appreciated some of the what the LMSs, all that I've used at least, provide vis-a-vis student statistics and course statistics. And so those actually help me see where a student is in any given course at any given time. And so with the statistics that are provided as far as the participation the student has had with that LMS through that course, right? So it's rather limited, but it does illustrate where a course is writ large, and then sometimes pretty solid granularity when it comes to a student's personal effort, and then there, arguably we could say that supports the evaluation of mastery as they move on through a course.
Well, I'm going to throw the question to you now. The same question. So first, going back, is one of the refrains in AI kind of era policy has been that, faculty just need to change their assessments, and that should kind of suffice, or that will help us to kind of get over these changes to being able to validate student knowledge. But I'm curious how you're confronting that at your institution, especially since you have a unique role in working with many faculty rather than just being a singular faculty. So
Right.
I'll start there.
Yeah. First thing I'd like to talk about is that, instruction always changes as the technology and the tools evolve. The reality is, in some ways, the way our instruction is moving towards now is actually, in some ways, going backwards. What I mean by that is that, prior to everybody having their own computer and things such as that, writing assignments were very prevalent in the classroom. We only got to the point where we started doing writing at home because for a long time, that's where the computers were. But now with mobile devices, laptops, things such as that, there's no reason why we shouldn't start bringing writing assignments back into the actual classroom. One of the easiest ways to make sure a student's not using AI is if they're doing it if the writing assignment you're asking a student to do is done in the class and everybody is in the class together. We don't have to stick with, okay, I need you to go home, I need you to type so many pages and then submit these pages back to me. There's no reason why you can't say, okay, bring your laptop or bring your Chromebook into the classroom. Okay, in class, we're going to spend 15 minutes. I want to have you write a particular paper or your answers. So the evolution in some ways is going to be going back towards, I think, real time assignments or things that are actually happening in the actual classroom. I think that the technology is to the point now where that's no longer a hindrance. Most students have laptops. If they don't have a laptop, you can go out and get a Chromebook. It's sometimes cheaper than the textbooks that you're using in the classes that we're asking. So that barrier is gone. So you can have them do things in the class, because when we talk about integrity, yes, we want students to be able to be honest about how they come up with their answers. But that also means that, we can have them produce their answers in the actual classroom. We don't have to tell them to do it at home and then submit it. Do it in the class.
You also, as RJ did, brought up a free way, right, to secure your classroom, specifically for where you have the luxury of face-to-face instruction and having a physical campus that students are convening on. Other ways that you would recommend any of our attendees today, we have ways that they can secure their assessments or their classroom that don't break the bank?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely. If you're, because again, as an instructional designer, I spent a lot of my time, over the last 10 years, basically concentrating more on online assignments and online instruction. And the same thing is true there. I mean, obviously, instead of telling students, okay, I need you to just write 3 or 4 page paper every week and submit it, doing other types of assignments, other than just that allow students to display what they've learned in other ways. We tend to do a lot of video assignments now because, the barrier to creating video assignments is gone down as well. Every student has access to video technology. It's in their phone, it's built into their laptop. So instead of them having to type a paper that generative AI may have created, have them basically, do a 5-minute video presentation, create a 5-minute video presentation where they actually have to, well, even if they get their script or whatever from a generative AI, what you're having them do is demonstrate that they have not only that they have found that information, but have to present it now in a way where they have to show that they've synthesized it in some way. Kind of going what RJ was talking about, kind of working on the upper levels of Bloom's. Instead of having them just to regurgitate, facts, have them demonstrate that they can take the knowledge that they've obtained and do something with it.
Very cool. Gotcha. Let's see. Where Mizner, I would say anything to add. I would say your perspective might be slightly different in terms of how things are changing in terms of changing assignments. As a proctoring provider, obviously, I think you have a specific kind of bent towards what might be possible with assessment through video and webcams. But anything to add?
Right. Yeah. I think thanks a lot, RJ and Rollin. I think it was quite insightful. And I would like to especially mention your solution. I think it is really, really helpful because eventually we need to have the supporting system for the for the ecosystem in a way. What I mean by that, for instance, your solution potentially can help Rollin or RJ to check the authenticity of the content. Because eventually, if it is there, then that okay, this person is like really working on it, not like just dumping something and coming up something which is not enough thoughtful in a way. So the more we can come up with different supporting system along with you, for instance, as you rightly mentioned, we have proctoring plugin. So we have we can continuously check different activities of the candidate if he is doing different kind of activities like looking into different tab or a browser or anything, or if he is looking into not looking into the webcam or camera other than other side. So with the help of AI, we are being able to track. And we can, for instance, just give you an example. We have a program called StarCoder program, having like more than 5,000 people we do take exam. And with that solution, we could detect who have been doing it more with a honest manner. We have seen a percentage of people, they try to use different tools. So there needs to have different tools like cursive technology and other tools so that it can support more to the ecosystem. I think technology can play a huge role to make the life easier in a way, I think. Yeah.
Very cool. Got you. So we're running out of time, so I want to make sure that we have a couple more slides. There also, for anybody that is attending online, there's should be a link to download a file, which is the PDF that the BrainStation team and the Cursive team have put together of lots of free things that can be implemented in your classroom, all the way from policy and procedures similar to the social contracts that RJ brought up, all the way through changing assessments, more authentic assessments that Roland brought up, and also technological tools that might have a free version that could be implemented either in on an individual assignment, in a class, or across your institution's learning management system, whether that's Moodle or not. So please feel free to download that. And I think I will hit you guys with one, maybe two lightning rounds of quick 1 to 2 word answers. Okay, so we'll start. We'll go RJ, Roland, and Mizner. But first, what is your favorite subject in school?
History.
Okay, thanks.
I was about to say the same thing, history, and I think that history.
I think physics has been like always my preference. Yeah, physics. Yeah.
And now you can use more than one word, but what is your kind of like your leaving advice to faculty this coming semester? If there's one piece of advice that you could give, RJ.
Yeah, I think, okay, sorry, this is more than one word, but I'll be very quick when I say it. Trust and focusing the development and deployment of assignments on reinforcing mutual trust is probably the name of the game as far as that value proposition that we all provide students. That's one of the big ways forward, I'd say.
Roland, one piece of advice for faculty this coming semester.
Yeah, be engaging with your students. I find that faculty who tend to be engaging with their students don't have to worry as much about whether or not the students are using other tools to do their work because they're working with their students. If you're engaging with your students in a lot of things with your subject matter, then that leaves less time for outside stuff to be used.
Mizner, one piece of advice to any faculty.
I think maybe be more open to accommodating new way of doing things. I mean, things are changing, so maybe try to accept it. I mean, in a way, I think that might be helpful for everyone. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very good. So we have about 10 minutes left. I didn't see any additional Q&A come in. Those were we already had a chance to ask those. But in closing, I wanted to spend a couple minutes to make sure that we were talking about the just another plug. There's a free download which you can grab on the QR code, and this is synthesis of many different resources available that can be implemented. Think of it more of guidance for free ways to improve integrity or to uphold integrity in the classroom. And it's everything from honor codes in terms of like how easy that is to set a social contract and to potentially let students visit that, to kind of research journals or accompanying documentation as students are working through longer writing assignments to document how they're working through writing assignments. So you have kind of an additional piece of information to speak to the mastery of that subject and the process that the students went through, all the way to proctoring, obviously, where the proctoring tool available through BrainStation 23 is great in terms of like it's totally free. If you want to keep the data totally local to your computer or to your learning management system and manage the recordings yourself. There's a premium version. It's extremely affordable. Just as a plug, if I had had access to this at my previous role, it would have saved us probably hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the ability to control kind of both your data, but also the implementation of proctoring services so that students are used to it, that's a great one. Also, Safe Exam or Secure Exam Browser, which is another tool that's available on many learning management systems that can help to add some more structure, I would say, and limitations to as you're engaging in assignments as well, may also be options. And we also talk about process tracking and new tools like processfeedback.org, but also Cursive, which is natively available to the learning management system for Moodle. We talk more about the, just as a kind of closing plug, obviously this webinar would not have been possible without the support from BrainStation and their marketing, and also their great free plugin for Moodle, their connection to Max as well, for joining us and for supporting the certified integration partners and the many Moodle users worldwide. Just as a quick aside in terms of how the proctoring solution works from BrainStation 23 is that it engages students during the quiz. It basically turns on as a quiz access plugin and captures random images kind of throughout the process. So you can kind of see the student as a proctored exam. If you're familiar with any proctoring product, that's part of the review process. This captures it all locally to your Moodle without sending information externally. There are options to connect it to their AI API, which basically lends additional functionality and automation to save both time and effort in terms of that implementation. But for small sites or for single classes looking for a way to add some validity to assessments without breaking the bank, the proctoring solution from BrainStation 23, I can think of no better solution. And then from writing, we talked a little bit about writing and the impacts of AI on student writing these days. Process tracking is a new way to bring more transparency to the writing process. In and of itself is not necessarily the strongest academic integrity tool because anybody can do the writing. However, if you're connected to Cursive's API, that does do authorship verification through typing biometrics. So we're ensuring that the right student is the writer, which is, in my view, the most important thing for academic integrity is not that work was done, but that Max or Roland or that RJ were the producers of the work and of the knowledge. And I think that that's the important thing for us all to take is that knowledge is valuable, but me being able to verify your knowledge specifically, that's the most valuable thing when it comes to grades or credits or degrees. So that will be the end of our production today. I really want to thank Roland, Mizner, and RJ for joining us. Max, thank you for the wonderful introduction on Moodle and for the support from your program. Thank you all for attending. We will definitely follow up with a recording of the event, and it will be available on socials and on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. And one final plug, if you are headed to Scotland, please look us up. We'll be there mid-September for the Global Moodle Moot. I will be there, Ms. Anur will be there representing our teams and also presenting at one point. We will have a short presentation with Martin Duigamis about AI in Moodle, which I'm really excited about. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
So, Joe, yeah, if you allow me just a few seconds. So
Sure.
I really want to appreciate, I mean, you have given a lot of effort. I mean, really appreciate your amazing effort and the tools. Process tracking is like amazing tools, and together we want to create a lot of values, so thanks a lot. I mean, you have been working so hard for this success, and really want to appreciate your great contribution. Yeah,
well, thank you very much. And then lastly, I would say is like this is first of all, we hope will be a series of webinars focused on assessment. Next up will be a generative AI enabled assessment. So how getting more further into how we can use AI for better, more authentic, more personalized assessment and feedback for students in a way where we might also be able to validate that knowledge is original as well. So stay tuned for that. We will certainly send out an invitation. Yeah, thank you guys very much.